Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Today, we are here to have a very basic discussion. We're going to talk about basic lands. There have been some new ones spoiled for the Theros Beyond Death set that is coming up, and I actually really like the look of those lands, and it got me thinking to all the way back to the beginning of Magic the Gathering, when we actually only had one option for lands. It's crazy to think about this, but when I started, there was only one option for basic lands. I mean, the only difference is whether you're going to have black bordered or white bordered. Like if you get alpha, beta, or if you had unlimited or revised versions of these lands. But they were the only basic lands in the game. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an image of some of these basic lands up on the screen for you here to take a look at. Now, admittedly, a lot of these lands are fairly underwhelming. Some of them are nice. Some of them are genuinely nice looking, but they're a bit bland. I mean, if you're used to the current standard of Magic artwork, they are a bit bland. And what you have to bear in mind is back when Magic was starting out, they could only really get artists that were willing to accept like on commission style work, where it's like instead of, basically like royalty style, where they would sell these cards and then whoever drew them, whoever painted them, would get a portion of the sales. But overall, the upfront money was not very much. So as a result, it's not like they had everything like top-notch, absolutely amazing, right? So the basic lands were kind of hit or miss. I remember the Green Furry Island being one of the most desirable basic lands out of all of them. Most of the lands to me were fairly meh. And it would actually continue on this way until we got to Ice Age. Ice Age was the first set, which actually kind of threw us all for a loop, where all of a sudden it's like, wait, you've got starter decks of this stuff, and it comes with its own basic lands. And that sort of set the tone for basic lands helping to shape the landscape of any particular set. Basic lands are fantastic for tone setting, and you can see this when you would contrast, like take for example the lands we've already looked at and compare them to lands from Ravnica. In Ravnica, you will notice a lot of spires poking up everywhere. It doesn't matter what kind of land you're dealing with. It doesn't matter if it's a swamp, an island, a forest. You are going to see cityscapes because Ravnica is one gigantic city plane. And having the basic lands look that way is a fantastic method to illustrate an underlying nature of a plane without like doing it with, where like, you know, you have flavor text is one way to show you what a world is like, and art is another. Now, basic lands are somewhat overlooked, but at the same time, they're also something you're going to see the most. You get used to not really looking at basic lands that much, and I think that's a pity, because there are a lot of gorgeous basic land artwork. Now, not everybody overlooks lands, but a lot of players will, right? You just kind of go, whatever, but they make up a third of your deck, especially if you're just playing like a monocolored deck. Most of your lands are going to be, hey, here you go. This is all forests, or this is all swamps, or whatever. And so back in the day, we had these kind of whatever art, but you'll notice that over time, there are different approaches that people will take to the land bases now. There'll be people who want to have all foil lands. There'll be people who want to have all full art lands. There'll be people who want to have the old school, old border lands because they find them special and fun because they have the old, like, either the words that say tap, if it's unlimited or earlier, it literally says the word tap on it. If it's revised onwards, it'll have the tap symbol, before they actually went ahead and removed that concept altogether. What happened was, up until Portal came along, we just had basic lands that had tap symbols on them, right? Tap to add a mana. But with Portal, what they wanted to do is they wanted to simplify the game to a degree and go, okay, do we really need to have these tap symbols? Why don't we just put artwork on it and put a gigantic mana symbol on it? And then you'll know, hey, these are lands. They all function the same way. Do they even really need the tap symbol? And so for a while, that was just Portal. Now, obviously, you're playing Magic now. You know that's something that they have adopted, right? Like, this is something they've now officially made into a normal thing in Magic the Gathering, where you will just have the mana symbol there and the artwork. Or in cases of some of the full art lands, you will just have a beautiful picture of some landscape. And I really like it. Honestly, I think for me, if I look back at the history of Magic, the first time that I was ever truly outrageous, the only time I was ever truly impressed, you little Gem and the Rockers reference for you old folks. You guys know Gem and the Rockers? Did you have a sister? Anybody who knows Gem and the Rockers is probably sitting in a rocker right now, an old rocking chair. Anyhow, to get back to what I was talking about, the most beautiful cards to me in terms of basic lands, like the most surprising and stunning lands, weren't the portal lands. They were actually the original unglued lands. The unglued lands really took what a basic land could be and twisted it around. They took a beautiful piece of artwork and they put it into an oval shape in the center. And at the bottom of the oval shaped artwork, you would have the mana symbol, and at the top, you would have a tap symbol. And it made the lands very, very striking. Now, admittedly, I do think that the full art lands that they've come out with in future unsets, and by future I just mean past the unglued set, so you've got Unhinged and Unstable, those do have quite striking lands that, I mean, especially the unstable lands. The unstable lands are actually really, really beautiful in most cases. So I like this, and they've played around with different variations of full art lands in terms of they even did it with the snow lands from Modern Horizons, right? Where admittedly some of those look kind of wonktastic. But either way, we've had a wide number of variations of basic lands over the years. We saw them push multiple iterations of full art lands. They did them with the original Zendikar set. Then when we went back to Zendikar, they brought the full art lands back, and they even extended it a little further along when we had the Amonkhet block, where 1 out of every 4 lands would be a full art land. Now, admittedly, if you do something like that too frequently, it does, to a degree, diminish the special nature of it. And that's why it's been a while since the Amonkhet block, aside from the Unstable release, since we have seen full art lands. Now that brings me to Theros Beyond Death and its new basic lands. Now I obviously have got these up on the screen. Now these are the first full art land of their kind. It's an interesting variation. Instead of the artwork being entirely landscape, there is literally no landscape. These lands are very unique in that they are the only lands made for Magic where it's just the mana symbol. The concept behind these lands is essentially what you're looking at is a Nixian style, right? And if you don't know what that means, Nyx is the realm of the gods, right? That's where the gods live in Theros. And it is made up of like starry night sky like essence. And that's what you have. If you take a look at each of the cards, it's easier to pick out on some of the cards. It seems to be most prominent. And bear in mind, the images that I have here are just spoiled images from somebody cracking some packs that they found at Walgreens, if the story is to be believed. So we don't have the absolute clearest resolution pictures. And when you hold these in your hand, I imagine they'll be more striking. But from the images that we currently possess, it appears that the blue land and the black land are the easiest ones to tell are actually set in this Nixian kind of style. And they have this like energy vortex kind of power feel around them. And it makes them very, very striking. Honestly, these lands are very attractive to me, both from the art perspective, where it's like the art looks nice on these, and the fact that they are unique, right? We have never, ever had basic lands like this. To me, this is an absolute home run in design. These lands look absolutely fantastic, and it does look like, I mean, again, these images are spoiled images and they're kind of cropped to a degree because whoever took the pictures didn't sit there and take a perfect picture of each card. But it looks like they actually extend out all the way to the borders. And these aren't collector's packs lands. These are the regular basic lands that we are going to be able to crack in Theros Beyond Death packs. And to me, that's super exciting because they are genuinely gorgeous. The gigantic mana symbols set directly into the middle of a night sky with the proper color energy swirling them around them. I like the way that the island looks like the blue mana symbol is kind of nestled in to a bank of stormy clouds. The red one feels like it has a swirl of red energy going around it. The way that they've chosen to do these different ones is really, really interesting. Honestly, this is a fantastic execution, and these cards are going to be genuinely stunning when we get to see them in foil. So this is a type of innovation where it's something small, right? This is just a small change. Instead of going full art landscape, we've gone full art symbol, but it makes them very distinctive and attractive. And I mean, we're only getting one Theros set here, so this is not something I expect to see repeated. These lands are actually going to be desirable. So this is a win on another level. Not only is it a unique concept, not only are they visually striking, but it actually adds some value to the basic lands as well, because there will be people who want to do the entirety of their decks with these lands, and it's perfectly understandable. Being selective in that way makes perfect sense. Your Magic deck, in some regards, the personalization of it is a reflection of you too, right? That's why people like pimping out their decks to a degree. Some people like pimping out their decks and having the most expensive cards because they like to be like, hey, I have cards other people can't get. Some people like to pimp their decks out in different fashions where it's like, this artwork really speaks to me. This resonates with me. And these sort of lands are going to resonate with individuals. They are very, very striking. It's actually, to me, these and the special Elspeth that were revealed are actually the most striking cards I've seen of all the stuff that's been spoiled. Now, I do intend to do a video talking about that Elspeth because it's really interesting. Overall, the card itself, the artwork, everything about it is a very interesting card. I actually was trying to decide whether I was going to do that video or this video today. So that will be coming soon. But either way, these lands are a massive home run in my book. This is very, very well done. Now, I'm curious though. There are some people who have said, oh, these feel like Pokemon energy cards or whatever else. I mean, it doesn't give that vibe to me, but bear in mind, I don't play Pokemon. I've got no interest in Pokemon, so it's not gonna resonate that way with me. How do you guys feel about these lands? What are your opinions? Are you excited about acquiring them, or do you prefer landscapes and think that it doesn't make any sense for mana symbols to be swirling in a Nixian night sky? Is this a home run for you? Is this a fail? Or are you somebody who's literally indifferent to basic lands? Because there are people who generally don't care. They're just like, I don't care. I just tap it to produce mana. This is a waste of my time, this discussion. So who gives a crap, right? I mean, it boils down from just a matter of taste. That's what it's going to turn into. So let me know what you guys think. I also invite you to come on over to my second channel. Me and my lovely lady have been making fun and funny videos over there. So I'm going to go ahead and link one of those videos right here at the end for you to check out. I invite you to come on over. The channel's small, but I will put a smile on your face. I can guarantee you of that. And also, as another note, just so you know, I do have a limited edition Oko Elk shirt and other merch available in my merch store. That's linked below. Feel free to grab some of that. It supports the channel and will also make you look a baller. So thanks for coming by, everybody. I appreciate it. Big shout out to all my patrons and channel members for directly supporting my work. And remember, my friends, together we are the sixth color of magic.